And now to talk about Y generation, millennials, Axelle, please.
So today I want to talk with you, and I think, the day was really about that actually. I want to talk not about me as a brand, but more about you guys. And I want to invite you to be unreasonable, because I really believe this is what an explorer is. So I really love this quote. I wanted to share it with you. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So Garrett is a perfect example of that. And I think if you are in this room today, it's because many, many of you are unreasonable enough to believe you can change the world and you can push forward the society in Portugal and Lisbon and the startup scene. So the first thing you have to do to be unreasonable, I think, is to don't limit yourself to reality. And the reality is pretty tough right now in Europe. All of us, we know about that. We are the kids of the recession. The millennials, the generation born between 80 and 95, is really hit by the crisis. And actually, it's crisis after crisis. I'm born in 81, and I heard about that all the time. So I think you and I, if we listen what we hear in the news and the big depression and the recession, we are stuck, and we cannot do anything at all. But I think, it's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And I think change is very uncomfortable, but it is the only constant in our life. So I think a crisis is always an opportunity, is always an invitation to reinvent yourself. And I think the change we are facing today, the digital revolution, the age of interconnectedness, is an amazing opportunity to reinvent yourself and everything. So the digital revolution is very empowering for the Generation Y, the digital generation. When you ask this generation, 73% of them think that access to the internet changed the way I think about the world. 84% of them think that they have the potential to change the world for the better. So maybe there is a crisis, maybe there is a recession, maybe when you look at the unemployment rate in Portugal or even in France, in Italy, in Spain, it's scary. But actually, uncertainty is an uncomfortable position, but certainty is an absurd one. Yeah, whatever, you got it. So, because it's right and behind me. So I think the crisis, the recession, it's very a natural state for my generation, because we are very used to it. We are used to this very uncertain environment. And of course, around us, you always look a bit dumb if you're optimistic, or if you want to create a company in this middle of this disaster. But I think pessimism is not always deep. And I really believe a crisis is only a transition. A crisis is a transition to something else, to another revolution, from the industrial one to the technological and the digital one. So this is a moment for you guys to reinvent yourself in terms of technology, in terms of industry, in terms of not waiting for a job that is not coming, because actually the jobs are not coming. Even in France, the situation is pretty dramatic. So you have to reinvent yourself. It takes time, it's tough, but you can do it. This is exactly the same thing that following your passion. It's not a romantic, easy path. It asks a lot of commitment. It's pretty tough, but the rewards are amazing. So this is, for me, one of the top skills of an explorer. It's resilience. It's the fact that even during tough time, even during crisis, you will make it. You will go back. Resilience is the fact to go back to your shape after a big crisis or a big tough event. So this is, for me, one of the top skills for the explorer and the Generation Y. The second thing, if you want to be unreasonable, you have to embrace your fear. So I know the big legend about the fearless entrepreneur, the guy that is never scared of anything, but I think entrepreneurs are scared. I think the fear is really part of who we are as a human being. So you just have to decide that you want it more than you are afraid of it. It is just about that. And I was in London in June at Le Web, And this is Joe Jebbia. And he shared a quote that I really love. He said, we just embrace the problem. We embrace the problem. We had no money, so we wanted to rent our room. So even stronger than embrace the problem, you just have to embrace the fear. You don't have to be scared by your fear. This is Brené Brown, and she did an amazing talk called The Power of Vulnerability. And she explained that vulnerability is the birthplace of innovation, creativity, and change. So everything you want is on the other side of your fear, basically. So if you didn't see this talk, you really have to see it. It's an amazing talk. And I really believe vulnerability is what will make your company, your startup, your idea more humanized, more emotional, more in connection with your customer, with your user. And this is a second skill that is key for me for an explorer and for the Generation Y. This is empathy. This is a way that when you let yourself feel, you can feel for others. And that's how you connect. That's how you create a product or an idea that people don't only use, but love. You know? It's because it's based on emotion. This morning, Jean-François was talking about inspiration is a business. Emotion is even stronger if you want to create a vision, a company. So then, when you beat the internal and external factor, you will be ready to build what will be next. Each generation wants new symbol, new people, new name. They want to divorce themselves from their predecessor. So less than 50% of people right now trust business leader. Less than 26% trust government leader. So that's why the workforce of tomorrow, the Generation Y, is really ready to build something new with new leader and a new face of leadership. So the Generation Y will represent 75% of the workforce in 10 years. And I know many people talk about the Generation Y, so much attention, but yet so misunderstood. Some people say we are the me generation. I really believe we are exactly about the opposite. We care a lot. We care about a world we cannot ignore anymore. And I really love this quote from Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. He said, inventing and pioneering requires a willingness to be misunderstood for a long period of time. So if you're a millennial, if you have a dream, if you feel being an optimistic person in this middle of this crisis, people look at you as you are crazy, you don't care. If you are misunderstood, it means you are on something amazing for you guys. So follow your guts, follow your passion. And this is why I really believe the millennials, the Generation Y, and many people that I meet today are very the unreasonable generation. I don't know, like when you meet people today, it was really about optimism. Even the Explorer Festival is only about that. It can happen in Portugal, in Lisbon, in this middle of this recession, of this crisis. Everything is possible. And I really believe that it's not, we don't have the monopoly of that as a generation, but we can really lead this path. And I hate when I hear the Generation Y will be the leader of tomorrow, because tomorrow is now, in a world where everything is going so fast. So if not you guys, who? If not now, when? So there is no time. Like if you have a passion, if you have an idea, if you have a vision, don't be limited by reality, don't be limited by your fear, and go now. And I really believe that the Generation Y may be well on its way to becoming the most entrepreneurial generation in the nation history. So you know, recession, crisis, forget about that. We will reinvent ourselves, So I really love this idea of the do-it-yourself movement. You know, Ines was talking a little bit about that with the makers. So I think this is really what our generation is about. We will pick ourselves. We will invent a new job. We will invent a new project. We'll create company. We'll not wait for a job that institution and big corporation are not giving us, and we don't want to go there anyway. So I think you really have to pick yourself. This is an expression of Seth Godin that I really love. And he said, don't wait for a job, invent your job. And Axelle Agency is really about that. I was not happy at all in my professional life. I never was. And I feel I had a passion. I had a call that I wanted to follow and pursue. And I was like, you know what? Passion is the new legitimacy for this world. I will give it a try, and if I fail, who cares? Like, I prefer having the feeling that I try that having regrets all my life. So if you have an idea, if you have something that is really scary for you inside, this is probably where you have to go. And I think this generation will probably create new leader, because I think the crisis in Europe is also a crisis in leadership. If I ask you guys, what is the leader you really love or you respect that is not dead right now? You and I will have a big problem to answer this question. Churchill, dead. Roosevelt, the same. There is a big, big crisis in leadership right now. This guy is amazing. He's John Maeda. He's the director of the Rhode Island Design School. And this book, it's very small. If you have time, you should read it. It's called Redesigning Leadership. And John is going very far. He explained that leadership is in a crisis because they don't understand the new world. They don't understand the age of interconnectedness. We need creative leaders. We need people that really understand feedback and permanent conversation with each other. And he really thinks that the new CEO, the new leader, should be more like artists, like people that really have an emotional connection with their brand, with their company. So I think this is a third skill that is key for an explorer and for my generation, is curiosity. So resilience, empathy, curiosity. If you have an idea, if you have a company or something you want to create, I really believe this is a top skill that you should nurture. And with this skill, you could become the artist of tomorrow. Think of yourself as an entrepreneur, as an explorer, as an artist. You share a vision, you share a message, you inspire people. This is big, this is huge. This is not only about a product or creating an experience. So with this in mind, this is a blank canvas. You can design, you can paint, you can write on it, and design what will be the world of tomorrow. Thank you so much.